Joining me now to dive further into the government funding fight is Congressman Robert Aderholt, a member of the House Appropriations Committee and chair of the Values Action Team. He represents the 4th Congressional District of Alabama. Congressman Aderholt, welcome back to Washington Watch. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Tony. Good to be with you, and thanks for having me on this afternoon.
Well, let's talk about the House finished its business before it left town last week, passing a clean continuing resolution, but the Senate hasn't done anything with it. What are you hearing?
Well, it was interesting. I was listening to some of the Sunday talk shows yesterday, and of course, Chuck Schumer was one of the ones that was being interviewed. And I think I think from my reading between the lines on what's going on right now, the Democrats are not sure what they're going to do. I think they see it's a real problem that if they shut down the government, that could cause a real problem for them, as well as other problems for the entire nation. But at the same time, I think there's a tremendous amount of pressure from their base is they want to fight Donald Trump. So they're in a really a lose-lose situation the way that I see it. And I think over the next few days, they will be talking to their constituents and talking to their members and finding out, really which is the course of least resistance. And whichever one they decide, that's the one they'll move in. I think right now it could go either way. I think that at the end of the day, I think that Schumer was very reluctant to go ahead and say, I'm shutting down the government, or I will shut down the government, because I think a lot of his members are very reluctant.
Tip O'Neill used to say all politics is local. I mean, I think this is a local issue when it comes to the Senate Democrat leader, Chuck Schumer. You talk about the base. Part of this is the base in the state of New York that could threaten his political existence because they've become so radical.
Yeah, exactly. And that, like you said, the base is really, I think, they're so frustrated at Donald Trump and the Republicans, and they are wanting a good fight. And this is the only way they know to fight right now. So I think that Schumer knows the dangers of shutting down the government. You could see from the interview yesterday that he was very reluctant to say that, he's committed to shut down the government because he knows the ramifications. But at the same time, if they get pressure and their base says you got to do it, then, it may happen. But I don't think any decision has been made right now. I think they're waiting to see over the next few days. Congress is in recess this week, both the House and the Senate, and members will be back with their constituency to find out what's going on. And I think they'll be deciding over the next week exactly which direction they're going to go.
All right, Congressman Aderholt, what appears to be the most likely scenarios then? How do you see this playing out?
I think that at the end of the day, the Democrats will see that it's too risky, and they will come to now they're going to want something. Right now, what they're asking for is government subsidies on the Obamacare and several other healthcare related issues. But that's the main thing right now is they're wanting to do subsidies for Obamacare, and I think that's a bridge too far. And so they may notch it down, ask for a little something to save face, and then an agreement will be made.
So you, at this point, do not think there will be a shutdown?
I think there is a good chance the Democrats will come to the table. That's correct. However, longer this goes, the more likelihood it would be. But I think they're taking a real chance for them to shut down the government, and I think that would really be a bad look for them.
All right, Congressman Aderholt, we just have about 2.5 minutes left. I want to talk more about the appropriations. You're one of what they call the cardinals in the appropriations. You oversee one of the areas of appropriations. The Speaker, who's been on the program many times, we've talked about getting the Congress back to regular order when it comes to appropriations. I mean, we have to go back almost 20 years to see Congress actually functioning in that role. We were discussing that last week with one of your colleagues, suggesting that maybe it's time the Congress works to 2-year appropriations because there's just not enough time to deal with the volume and the size of the government budget each and every year.
Obviously, that's a would be a serious option. The problem with that, as someone on the appropriations committee, is that suppose you get someone like a Biden in there, as opposed to someone like a Trump that we agree with, and so they're given free reign of the government for a 2-year period, and I think that's dangerous. So I think we have to take that in consideration. So it's there's pros and cons to everything, as you well know. But I would be reluctant at this point to say go into a 2-year. Right now would be fine with Donald Trump as president, but he is not always going to be president. And so I think we have to be looking for those long-term uh, issues where in a few years we might have a Democrat, and very well could be.
But you would
And
agree the current situation is not working because the Congress is not passing appropriations bills.
yeah, no, I agree. There's really, a matter of fact, you said about 20. It's been almost 30 since we passed the appropriation bills by September the 30th. So, no, you're exactly right. The question is, do we though move it, move some of the, because we're gone during the month of August.
Right.
And so
right.
that really hampers the ability to try to get some of these negotiations done.
Well, you could
So I
align.
think that's
You could
real
align
problem.
it with the 2 years or even a 4-year budget, along with a presidential term. I mean, there's several options to look at, but Congress really needs to take the lead here and not allow executives to drive the budgeting process as they do
Well,
so
that's
often at the CR.
that's the thing that I'm concerned about. If you did a 2-year period, then that's really you give the administration a 2-year time period to do appropriations, and you have no way to try to hold the reins back
right.
from them if they decide to do something crazy.
All right, Robert, we got to leave it there. Always great to see you. Drive safely. Talk to you soon.
Thank